Fear being rejected by women? Give me 19 minutes to eliminate your fear forever. I know that sounds impossible. You've probably tried everything: positive thinking, pickup lines, fake confidence tricks, and you're still paralyzed every time you see a woman you're attracted to. You still hear that voice in your head saying she's out of your league, or she'll just reject you like all the others. But what if I told you there's a psychological trigger buried deep in every woman's mind that, once you understand it, makes rejection virtually impossible? What if I told you that the same 3 words that destroyed my entire dating life for 5 years, the words that turned me into a broken, invisible man who couldn't even make eye contact with attractive women, what if those same 3 words actually revealed the secret to never being rejected again? I'm going to prove this to you with a story so devastating, so emotionally brutal, that every man watching will see himself in it. But here's the thing. By the time I'm done, you'll understand why every crushing rejection you've ever experienced was actually preparing you for something incredible. And if you watch this video to the end, I'm going to give you the exact psychological system that transformed me from the guy women pitted to the guy they fight over. But first, you need to hear about the night that changed everything. The night I learned that everything I thought I knew about women and attraction was dead wrong. Because what happened to me with Isabella, it's probably happening to you right now. Her name was Isabella. 5'6", auburn hair that caught the sunlight like fire, and a smile that could stop traffic. We'd been friends for 3 years. 3 years. I'd helped her move apartments twice, listened to her cry over her ex-boyfriends, and been her shoulder to lean on through every crisis. I thought I was building something real. Every laugh we shared, every late-night conversation, every moment she chose to spend with me instead of other guys. I was convinced it meant something more. I was living in a fantasy where being the nice guy would eventually win her heart. But here's what I didn't understand then, and what most men still don't understand, about female psychology. Women don't experience attraction the same way men do. While I was getting butterflies every time she texted me, she was experiencing something completely different. Something that would explain everything that happened next. You see, I had fallen into the first secret reason why men fear rejection. I didn't feel good enough for women I found attractive. And this belief developed because I noticed something that confused me. I felt overwhelming attraction to Isabella every time I saw her. Her physical appearance, her laugh, the way she moved, it all hit me like a freight train. But she never seemed to react to me the same way. When I saw Isabella, I felt that intense, almost overwhelming level of attraction. I wanted her immediately, completely. But I noticed that women, not just Isabella, but women in general, didn't react to men the way we react to them. I started thinking maybe I just wasn't attractive. Maybe I was this guy who wanted women, but they didn't want me back. What I didn't realize then was something crucial about how we're wired. The sexual pursuit area of a man's brain is 2.5 times larger than a woman's. We're literally designed for sexual pursuit. We see a woman, and our brains light up like Christmas trees. But women? They're not walking through the world checking out guys' arms or chests the way we notice their curves. Their attraction works completely differently. The night I finally worked up the courage to tell Isabella how I felt, I had it all planned out. Dinner at her favorite restaurant, a walk by the lake where we'd spent countless hours talking, and then, my moment. The moment I'd rehearsed 1,000 times in my head. "Isabella," I said, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "I have something to tell you." She turned to look at me, and for a split second, I saw something in her eyes. Was it anticipation? Fear? I couldn't tell. But what happened next would change everything I thought I knew about women and attraction. "I've been in love with you for 3 years," I blurted out. "I think about you every day. You're the most incredible woman I've ever met, and I need you to know that." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. But it wasn't the silence that destroyed me. It was what she said next. 3 words that would echo in my mind for years to come. But before I tell you what she said, you need to understand the psychological principle that was working against me that night. You see, I had fallen into what I now know is the deadliest trap in male-female attraction. I thought that because I felt overwhelming attraction to Isabella, she must feel the same way about me. This is the first critical mistake men make, and it stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of female psychology. Here's the truth. When we see a woman we like, our brains are wired to feel intense physical attraction quickly and pursue it aggressively. We want her immediately, intensely, completely. But women? Their brains work differently. They're not scanning the room looking for physical attributes. They're not getting butterflies because a guy has nice arms or a cute smile. Their attraction is triggered by something much more complex, much more psychological. Think about it. If a woman went around the world reacting to men the way we react to them, what would happen? If she walked up to attractive guys and said, "Oh, hello, how are you doing?" in an obviously interested way, most men would think something was wrong with her. She'd attract the wrong kind of attention. She'd end up with guys who only want short-term encounters, not genuine connection. So women have learned to wait. They wait for men who have the confidence to approach them, the social intelligence to read their subtle signals, and the masculinity to lead the interaction forward. And this is where I made my fatal mistake with Isabella. I assumed that because she enjoyed spending time with me, because she laughed at my jokes, because she felt comfortable around me, that she must be attracted to me. But comfort is not attraction. In fact, as I was about to discover, too much comfort can actually kill attraction before it even has a chance to grow. The 3 words Isabella said to me that night weren't just a rejection. They were a death sentence to everything I thought I knew about women. Let's be friends. 3 words. Simple, clean, devastating. But it wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. With pity in her voice. Like I was a lost puppy who had wandered too far from home. Like the idea of being with me romantically was so foreign, so impossible, that she almost felt sorry for me for even thinking it. "You're such a sweet guy," she continued, each word like a knife twisting in my chest. "Any girl would be lucky to have you as a friend. But I don't see you that way. I never have. Never have." Those words hit me like a freight train. 3 years of friendship, 3 years of being there for her, 3 years of what I thought was building something special, and she had never, not once, seen me as anything more than a friend. I walked home that night in a daze. But the real devastation didn't hit until the next morning when I realized something that would haunt me for years. If Isabella, who knew me better than anyone, who had seen me at my best and worst, who had spent hundreds of hours with me, if she couldn't see me as attractive, then maybe I just wasn't. Maybe I was destined to be the friend. The nice guy? The safe option that women turn to for emotional support, but never for romance. The invisible man. But here's what I didn't know then. What took me years to discover. Isabella's rejection had nothing to do with my worth as a man, and everything to do with a specific psychological trigger I had failed to activate. The months after Isabella's rejection were the darkest of my life. I became terrified of approaching women. And this fear was fed by multiple psychological demons that I didn't even realize were controlling me. The second secret reason men fear rejection had taken hold of me. I worried that other people would find out I got rejected and judge me negatively. Every time I saw an attractive woman, my mind would race. What if she rejects me like Isabella did? What if people find out? What if everyone thinks I'm a loser who can't get women? But here's the psychological trap that keeps most men stuck. We assume that if we get rejected, it means we're not good enough. We take it personally. We make it about our worth as human beings. But rejection often has nothing to do with our value and everything to do with our approach. The reality is, people are going to judge you regardless of what you do. If you never talk to women, they might think you're weird or creepy. If you're successful with women, some people will call you a player. But when you approach women as a confident, normal guy, being charming, using humor, being genuinely interested, there's nothing to judge negatively. This fear consumed me. I started avoiding eye contact with women. I stopped going to social events. I convinced myself that I was protecting myself from further humiliation, but really, I was dying inside. And then I met Evelyn. 2 years after the Isabella incident, I met Evelyn at a coffee shop near my work. She was reading the same book I had just finished, and we struck up a conversation about it. For the first time since Isabella, I felt that spark of connection with someone. Evelyn was different from Isabella. Where Isabella was outgoing and social, Evelyn was quiet and thoughtful. She had this way of looking at you when you talked that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. And unlike with Isabella, I could sense something in Evelyn's body language that gave me hope. She would lean in when I talked. She would laugh at my jokes, really laugh, not just be polite. She would find excuses to continue our conversations. Every instinct I had was telling me that she was interested, but I was paralyzed by two more secret fears. The third secret reason hit me every time I thought about making a move. I feared feeling embarrassed in the moment if she reacted badly. What if I asked her out and she looked uncomfortable? What if she seemed disgusted by the idea? The thought of experiencing that awkward moment, that flash of rejection right there in front of her, terrified me. And the fourth secret reason was even worse. I worried that I'd lose even more confidence if I got rejected again. I already didn't have much confidence around attractive women. If Evelyn, who seemed to actually like me, rejected me too, it might destroy what little self-esteem I had left. So I waited, and waited, and waited. Week after week, I would see Evelyn at the coffee shop. We'd talk for hours. I'd walk away feeling incredible, like maybe this was it. Maybe this was my second chance. But then the fears would creep in. What if I was reading the signals wrong? What if I asked her out, and she looked at me with that same pity Isabella had? What if I ruined this friendship too? And then one day, I showed up at the coffee shop and saw Evelyn laughing with another guy. They were sitting close together, her hand on his arm, looking at each other the way I had dreamed she would look at me. Later, I found out they had started dating after he asked her out the week before. 1 week. It took him 1 week to do what I had been too afraid to do for months. That night, I realized something that shattered what little confidence I had left. My fear of rejection hadn't protected me from pain. It had guaranteed it. By being too afraid to risk rejection, I had rejected myself. But this realization, as devastating as it was, would eventually lead me to discover the psychological secret that would change everything. The fifth and final secret fear was also controlling me, and I didn't even realize it. I worried that women would think I was a weirdo, a creep, or sleazy for even trying. This fear kept me from taking my natural role as a man. But here's what I learned. Women know it's the man's role to approach. Women know it's the man's role to ask them out. They can't go around making this obvious because if a woman went to a bar winking and waving at guys, men would think something was wrong with her. The male-female mating dance has always worked this way. As long as you're being a normal, confident guy who can make a woman feel attracted, you're actually doing her a favor, giving her the opportunity to meet someone who could become her lover, boyfriend, or husband. After losing Evelyn to my own fear, I hit rock bottom. But sometimes rock bottom is the foundation you need to build your life back up. I became obsessed with understanding the psychology of attraction, with figuring out what I had been doing wrong all these years. And that's when I discovered something that blew my mind. Women aren't rejecting the real you when they say no. They're rejecting the version of you that you're presenting. Think about it. When I was with Isabella, I was presenting myself as the safe friend, the emotional support, the guy who would always be there to listen to her problems. I was comfortable, predictable, non-threatening. But I wasn't attractive. Attraction isn't about being nice. It's about creating emotional tension, sparks, that feeling of, I wonder what this guy is thinking. It's about being challenging, mysterious, confident. It's about making a woman feel something other than comfort. Here's the brutal truth about female psychology. Women are attracted to men who make them feel a little uncertain, a little off balance, a little like they have to work for your attention. Not men who are always available, always agreeable, always safe. When Isabella said, "Let's be friends," she wasn't rejecting me because I wasn't good enough. She was rejecting me because I had positioned myself in the friend zone by never creating any romantic tension, by never making her feel those butterflies that come with uncertainty and challenge. And with Evelyn, I lost her because I was so afraid of creating that tension, so afraid of making her feel uncertain about my intentions, that I never gave her the chance to experience attraction for me. But once I understood this, everything changed. I learned that rejection isn't about your worth, it's about your approach. I learned that women want men to be confident enough to risk rejection. I learned that the fear of rejection is actually the enemy of attraction. And most importantly, I learned that there's a way to approach women that virtually eliminates the possibility of devastating rejection. You have to risk it to get the biscuit. In most cases, a woman isn't going to pat you on the leg and say, "Hey, by the way, I like you. If you want to start something sexual, let's do it." She'll continue talking and wait for you to make a move. If you try to make a move and she reacts badly, it simply means you haven't been making her feel attracted. If a woman is attracted to you and she's single and wants something to happen, she's almost always going to react positively. As a man, you must be able to make women feel sexual attraction for you. You must be able to create feelings of sexual attraction inside a woman so she sees you as a potential lover, boyfriend, or husband, not just a friend. Armed with this new understanding, I started approaching interactions with women completely differently. Instead of trying to build comfort and friendship first, I focused on creating attraction from the very beginning. I learned to be charming without being needy, confident without being arrogant, interesting without being desperate for approval. I discovered how to read women's signals properly, how to escalate interactions naturally, and most importantly, how to know for certain when a woman was attracted to me before I ever made a move. The results were incredible. I started dating women who were not only attracted to me, but who were actively pursuing me. I learned what it felt like to be the guy that women fought over instead of the guy they friend-zoned. But the most amazing transformation wasn't in my dating life. It was in my fear. The crushing, paralyzing fear of rejection that had controlled me for years simply disappeared. Because here's what I discovered. When you know how to create genuine attraction, when you understand how to read a woman's signals, when you approach interactions with confidence and authenticity, rejection becomes rare. And when it does happen, it doesn't devastate you because you know it's not about your worth as a man. 6 months after implementing these changes, I met Lisa. And unlike with Isabella and Evelyn, I knew exactly what to do. I created attraction from our first conversation. I escalated things naturally and confidently. I read her signals correctly and moved things forward at exactly the right pace. We've been together for 3 years now, and she still tells me that what attracted her to me from the beginning was my confidence, my mystery, my ability to make her feel excited and uncertain in the best possible way. The broken, rejected man who walked away from Isabella that night, he no longer exists. And the confident, attractive man I became, he was always there. He was just buried under years of fear and misunderstanding about how attraction really works. Now, if my story sounds familiar to you, if you've ever felt the crushing weight of rejection, if you've ever been stuck in the friend zone, if you've ever been too afraid to approach a woman you liked because you couldn't handle another, let's be friends, then listen carefully. What I discovered about female psychology, about attraction, about eliminating the fear of rejection forever, it's not some mystery that only certain men can understand. It's a learnable skill set, a system that any man can implement, regardless of his looks, his age, or his past failures with women. How I finally stopped being the friend zone guy, without changing my personality. With one simple move, you can. Stop losing women that initially liked you, because you couldn't play the game. Enter the dating scene with confidence, at any age. Pass each and every one of women's secret tests. See, what I learned is that there's a specific psychological pattern that women follow when they're attracted to a man. It's like a secret code that, once you understand it, makes female behavior completely predictable. You'll know exactly when a woman is attracted to you, exactly how to escalate things without fear of rejection, and exactly how to avoid the friend zone forever. Unlock the Scrambler is the only system that combines eliminating the nice guy behavior ingrained in so many men with the most cutting-edge discoveries of modern psychology. So you can gain the attraction of women, project personal power, and avoid the "let's just be friends" speech for good. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about unleashing who you've always been but were too afraid to show. It's about transforming your biggest fear into your greatest strength. The link is in the description below. Click it now, because tomorrow you could be living the same story of fear and rejection that controlled my life for years. Or you could be starting your journey toward becoming the confident, attractive man that women naturally gravitate toward. The choice is yours. But remember what I learned the hard way. The biggest risk isn't rejection. The biggest risk is spending another day living in fear, watching the women you want end up with men who had the courage to take action. Don't let fear rob you of the love life you deserve. Click that link.